I don't know if you've noticed this, but all the ruins, caves, dungeons, all the things and places people adventure through, things already live there. Hello everyone, welcome back down here to the Gamer's Den with me, your host, Jordan, your master of lore and storyteller extraordinaire, here with the quick tips for DMs video because, well, none of my slides are done. I've got a list of spells that I've been looking at and reading through, but I haven't actually gotten any of the actual work done necessary to be able to record, so we're doing this today. Today we're going to be talking about things that already live in the dungeons, or the fortresses, or the ruins, or the ancient mazes where kings of old dumped the most horrible creatures, the most cursed of relics, the most horrible of treasures that they wanted locked away and forgotten from the rest of the mortal world. Things live there, and it should feel like they live there. But before we get into all of that, if you're new here to the channel, go on down there, hit the subscribe button, and become a regular member here at the Gamer's Den. Or if you've already gone on ahead and listed yourself on such an incredible roster of legendary heroes, then go on down to hit the like button and share the video far and wide. Now we'll actually start talking about the subject at hand today, and it's that, all of these different creatures live down there. You have orc tribes, you have ogres, you have black molds and slimes and kobolds and goblins and so many other creatures that can end up taking residence in these sorts of places. You also have mimics. Some mimics could be down in there. And these creatures are all, to one degree or another, intelligent creatures. They're capable of reasoning, learning, developing new patterns, doing all these different kinds of things. But a lot of those details of what it looks like when creatures live in a place, when sentient beings inhabit an area, aren't really there so much, or at least there's not a whole lot of diversity. And that's because how deep in detail do you really need to go to for all the different mobs, the random mooks and minions? How much do you really need to establish that they live there? And to be honest, you don't entirely, but it can be a nice way to change things up, to throw out some more details. Not just that a group of kobolds are gathered around a campfire cavorting wildly. Maybe one of them's got a big crude stick that they use as like a stirring stick for the cauldron that they have over it, and there's actually a smell of the whatever stew they're making wafting over. And you can really mix it up for your players by describing how foul and putrescent it smells, or it smells surprisingly good, at least good for a kobold in a random cave somewhere. Whether the players end up fighting them or trying to make some kind of a peace offering, maybe they find out some other details when they sit down afterwards, whether it's, again, a fight or a peaceful sit down, that they've been using different cave mushrooms and they've found ways to make some of the different large oversized grubs into something palatable with the combination of things that they have there. It gives you a little bit of insight into their life, and it's a neat, interesting little detail that can just make it feel a little bit more real. Or, if it's horrifying, they find hands in there, eyeballs floating through, all the classic horror trope kind of things. And then you can even take this a step further with some creatures down there, some people making an actual living. Maybe when one of the rooms that they go into, with the next door they go through, not leading to a barracks or another room with just a bunch of creatures to fight, but they find a tavern set up, a bar, like an actual bar has been set up. How crude or surprisingly well made it is, you can leave up to yourselves, but it's staffed by an orc who's busily cleaning up some different mugs and tankards, and he's just as more pleased to see new customers wander through. New customers is new coin. It's not just the same rabble and crowd. And if he doesn't offer up any immediate hostilities, unless your party has gone entirely murder hobo, they might be intrigued enough to just kind of sit down, maybe buy a drink, and heck, bartenders, they hear people talk all the time. They listen to people's problems. Maybe they know a little bit more about the rest of the dungeon here, and all the players have to do is just be peaceable and give him a bit of coin for his time and his trouble. Pay for the information that he's offering up to them. That kind of thing can make a dungeon much more interesting. And it might even turn into a place that the players decide to come back to every now and then. They don't just entirely destroy it, but they leave it standing so that, they can still come back and see Throg, the orc barkeep, in this ancient ruin, this ancient Dwarven hold where he's set up shop. And he's selling mugs of aged Dwarven whiskey out of these ancient oak casks that have just been sitting for who knows how long. Potently powerful stuff, making it actually a surprisingly popular spot. And other adventurers might eventually start coming through there, drumming up new business, to the point that Throg actually has the coin to start hiring more staff, paying for ingredients, or just outright buying more whiskey, ale, beer, mead, all of these different things that will make a good tavern great. And again, it just enhances the player. It provides an opportunity for the players to have their own impact on the world, where they can see the results of their choices and their actions, and really start to add something else into it. Because it's supposed to be shared storytelling, not just the DM is the storyteller. You might be coming up with the core of it, with the setting, and populating it all, but your players should be able to add to it. Now, to what degree just depends a little bit. The more you let players add, the more you have to have an established trust. The more experienced the players usually have to be, or at least, willing to take it, seriously is not the right word, but take it, with enough concern for you and your own storytelling that they're willing to add something in that makes some kind of sense, or if it doesn't make the most immediate sense at first, is something interesting enough that's worth exploring and seeing how well it fits. So just a random thought there for making your worlds feel more populated, more interesting, and have unique scenarios for your players. I mean, seriously, not a mimic storage facilities. How fun would that be? Just a storage facility that's just a series of mimics that inhabit slots and spaces in a building, and they just hold on to things for people, devouring intruders but keeping the rest of a person's goods safe. I like that idea. That could be a lot of fun. But what do you think? Let me know your thoughts in the comments down below. Did you like today's video? Did you dislike it? Let me know either way. What are some interesting things you've thrown at your own players to make the world much more unique and something fun for them to play around with and explore? Or if you're a player, what's something interesting that you've gotten to see or that you've added in? So let me know your thoughts in the comments down below. Hit those like or dislike buttons, and remember, if you're new here to the channel, go on down there, hit the subscribe button, and become a regular member. But with all that said, I've been your host, Jordan, your master of lore and storyteller extraordinaire. Thank you all so very much for your time, and you all have yourselves a good night.